I'm gonna try to like watch the feed while you're doing it too, so I can see what visual you're throwing up.
No problem. Hi, everybody. This is Gary Housley with USAmericanMadeGuitars.com, and I've got Jay Hale from JHaleGuitars, straight out of Los Angeles, California, with me today as our special guest. How you doing, Jay?
Doing well. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, man. I always feel good when I talk about guitars, whenever I talk to people about the guitars that they make, and I learn, what they like. And, I've seen your guitars, pictures of them on Facebook and on Twitter for a while now, and I've been wanting to talk to you and finally got a hold of you and having you on the show. So it's really a wonderful day for me, man. How's the weather there in California?
Sunny and beautiful as usual.
Sunny and beautiful. That's how it is right here in Montana.
Nice.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jay, could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Let's see. I've been in Los Angeles since about 1990. Knocked around playing in bands, building guitars, stuff like that. I really decided to go hardcore with the line last year, just because people had been pushing me to do it. They're like, "Your guitars are great. Why aren't you making them for other people?" And I said, "Okay, sure, why not?" That's kind of how that all got started, and it seems like it's starting to, I don't want to say snowball, but it seems like interest is starting to pick up.
Right.
So,
I like your style. Most of the guitars I've seen that you've developed are Super Strat style. Do you have an affinity for the Super Strat?
yeah, that's what I kind of cut my teeth on, or at least drooling over as a kid or whatever when I was growing up. I grew up in West Virginia, so not a whole lot of music stores there to go, drool over Super Strats in. So, I used to order the catalogs when I was a kid, and I would just dream about what I could, couldn't afford and what I couldn't build. And then it's like, wait, they sell parts? I could possibly build one of these? And that's kind of how that whole thing started.
Right on.
Um, yeah, that's kind of my thing. I've always been into, when I was a kid, I was into Eddie Van Halen's guitars, and of course heard that he built them himself. And then later on, the guys in Rat, like Warren Martini and Robin Crosby, had some of the coolest guitars I'd ever seen. So did Amir Durock from Rough Cut and Chris Hager. Just all the really cool Charvel Jackson, then later ESPs and stuff like that came along in the day. That's what I, grew up loving and wanting to emulate.
So I take it Eddie Van Halen was an influence on you then?
Yeah, that was my original influence. Actually, the Bumblebee guitar is actually what inspired me to want to play guitar. I didn't even know. I was like, I just want one of those. I had no idea what to do with one. I was just like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I must have one.
It is, and let's jump right into talking about your guitars since I know that's what everybody wants to see. And check this out, folks. Here's a lineup. I've got a lineup of 5 guitars here on the couch that have been designed and developed and made by J Hale Guitars. And what we're looking at here, Jay, is well, first of all, on the far right is the natural wood guitar with the reverse headstock.
Yeah, that's a one-piece ash body. That's and it's got the recessed Floyd and the EVHD tuner, and of course all the Floyds are upgraded with FU tone blocks and hardware. And it's got a like a wide flat kind of neck. It's a 1 3/4 inch nut with the 1 11/16 nut on it, so it's kind of like a Les Paul or Charvel spacing,
Nice.
but kind of comfortable, kind of like almost quasi-classical feeling neck profile.
Right. Beautiful finish on this guitar. I love the zebra pickups, the fact that you have a humbucker and single coil in there at the neck position, and the finish on this thing is really great. What is that? How did you do that?
That is actually Aqua Coat, which is a water-based, environmentally correct grain sealer. But you can, if you do it, apply it correctly and use enough coats, you can pretty much buff it up to its own satin kind of finish. I've had really, really good results with it. I've used it as as a base coat, for solid colors as well, and it worked out really well. There's probably a more recent picture you could throw up if you have it with the None More Black and the Newman and the Bomber. And it,
Let's see. Yeah, I've got that. I've got that here somewhere. Let me click through here.
yeah, no worries. But
There's
whenever
a
you,
there's the black one right there. I'm looking at it.
the black one in the picture, if it's the one with the Strat headstock, that's the first Charvel parts mod I ever built in the 80s.
It's a beautiful guitar, and now we're looking at.
There you go. There's the none more black.
There you go. There's the black with the headstock on it. You can see that it's like a banana type headstock, right?
Yeah.
What would you call that?
Reverse banana.
Reverse banana. Looks
large
looks
reverse
super
banana.
sharp on that one, and the kamikaze too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's kind of going to be the standard headstock going forward. So I don't, step on anybody's copyright toes or anything like that.
right on. You know that that kamikaze guitar is super slick paint job on that one, and you've got really nice paint jobs on another guitar here that looks kind of like riveted, rivets off of a aircraft or something, aluminum type look. Yeah, those are really sharp paint jobs, man.
Thanks. Those are both by Jeff Rich of RCA Guitars.
Wow, he did a fantastic job painting those.
Yeah, he does great work. So I use him a lot. Well, for at least for those two guitars. I have other painters for the solid colors and stuff like that. But yeah, anything crazy like that, I immediately Jeff's my go-to guy.
Right, now I'm back to the natural guitars here for a second here. I've got the two naturals side by side. And
go ahead.
Yeah, and it looks like the ash body one on the right, and the one on the left, what kind of wood is that?
That's actually Koa. I built that one in the 90s.
Oh.
You can't even get a one-piece Koa body anymore because last I heard it was on the endangered species list.
Wow.
Yeah, so it would be, even if you could, it would be like prohibitively expensive to build right now, but that thing sounds incredible. Apparently it's a cousin of mahogany, in the wood genus or whatever, but it's really, really open and even sounding. It's a very interesting sounding wood on its own. So I'll always keep it around for recording and stuff like that because it's just a great, great piece.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful guitar, man. It just looks slamming. All of these guitars look slamming, man. They're just beautiful guitars. Here's another shot of the Koa guitar, kind of a Photoshop setup here with JHale initials. Really killer looking image. I love the little glint off the trim there. So really nice work. Nice work there, Jay.
Yeah, my buddy Bill did that for me.
Cool job, Bill.
Since I was a teenager, so he just sent that to me one day. I'm like, thank you. Because that was kind of my main guitar at the time that he sent that to me, so it was really nice to have that.
You must have been really loving on that Koa guitar because you just don't see too many. I knew it was Koa, but I wanted to make sure first before I said anything. But you just don't see those Koa electric guitars like that.
No, you don't. I mean, especially not a one-piece body. That's because it's just so unusual, But I tend to prefer one-piece bodies for my personal guitars.
And the guitars that you're building, what are the bodies constructed like on those?
Right now, my main wood of choice is ash. I just find it tonally pleasing. I'm not a huge fan of alder or basswood.
Mm-hmm.
So I find I try to find good pieces of if not swamp ash, a fairly light piece of northern ash, and you're pretty much guaranteed a pretty solid sounding guitar at that point.
Nice. And if somebody wanted you to custom build a guitar for them, how would they go about doing that?
You can get a hold of me on on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook at JHaleGuitars, which is just the letter J, Hale Guitars, or they can Gmail me at the letter J, Hale 667 at gmail.com. And we can discuss any custom options they want if they don't want anything exactly as they see it. Because, sometimes people want two humbuckers, or they just want one humbucker, or they have one. Like, I offer the option of between an upgraded original Floyd Rose that I've pretty much completely rebuilt with FU tone parts, or you can just get the straight FU bridge. The FU2, I believe, is the model number. So it's like always good to be able to discuss options and nut width, and maybe somebody wants different fret wire. My standard would be 6100, but that's a little tall for some people. So
Right,
sort of
right.
go over what somebody wants and what's the best thing for them.
Right. Well, you're doing a great job. I mean, these guitars are hot rods, really. I mean, that's how I look at them. They're super strats, and well, then you have this one guitar, and it's like a star guitar. What is that?
That is actually I rebuilt. I that's was my graduation present from high school. My mom got me that, but I put one of my necks on it now. And new Duncan pickups, a new Floyd Rose. The only thing original on it is the body. But probably because of that picture, if not one of the other ones I posted, one of my customers has commissioned me to do a star version as well. So that's going to be in the line too.
No kidding, man.
Yeah,
That's a killer looking old guitar you got there, brother.
yeah, and you don't see that shape anymore. So why not? I mean, the guy asked if I would do it. That guy's one of my customers I've become friends with, named Alfonso. And he's like, "Have you ever thought of doing a star guitar?" I'm like, "Well, no, but I could." He's like, "Okay, I want one." "Oh, okay, I'll build you one." you know. So I'm kind of excited about that because that wasn't something I was really, it was in the back of my mind, but you know, customer demand just made it a reality. It's like, no, please do one. Okay, sure. I'm not going to argue with the guy. It's like, you want? Okay, I'll do it. Sure, why not?
Right on. That's
Much like,
customer service.
yeah, I mean, he also requested, most of my guitars are 22 frets, but he asked if I could do a 24 fret one, and I'm like, oh, sure, why not? So,
Yeah, yeah. I like the 24 fret myself, definitely.
yeah, some people prefer that. So, you want to make sure that you go over that option. It's a little more expensive to build, but why, that's what somebody wants. Why not?
Right. And on your fingerboards, what are you using on your fingerboards?
My standard would be generally non-dyed ebony. Which you can
Nice.
I'll do one of the new ones coming up is going to have a maple board. I'm not a huge fan of rosewood, but that's what somebody wants, and you can still get it. Considering what's going on now, but whatever somebody wants. I've had good results with Palfero too.
Right. And what about your electronics on these? Are you using good electronics?
CTS pots and switchcraft jacks, and I try to set things up unless somebody just doesn't want it. Since I generally don't do tone controls unless they ask for them, I'll put a coil split with the humbucker at least, so kind of gives you some more variance in tonal options.
Very
That's
nice.
that's one of the things that was the original inspiration for the Newman Kazi. Was I've always liked the guitar that inspired it, but it just has a push pull and it's either bridge or neck. What if you want to use both pickups? So, but to modify one of those would have been just ridiculously expensive and would have ruined any resale value of that particular guitar. So I'm like, let's just build one. But I didn't want to build a replica of anything, so let's do a different color scheme, and instead of the regular Kamikaze Pilot, let's put Alfred E. Newman on it. Yeah.
That is
So,
awesome.
yeah, that's there'll be one that's going to be one of two right now unless someone else orders one, but it's a pretty quirky, strange thing, but it's way more versatile than the guitar that inspired it. And that particular one, the prototype, for lack of a better word, I put an Iron Age blue LED kill switch on it just for goofs, but they're fun.
Oh, it looks totally like fun. I mean, and let's get to talking a little bit about the hardware some more on these guitars. Right now, I've got a photograph up of Seymour Duncan pickups. Of course, you're a Seymour Duncan endorsed artist, as well as a FU Tone endorsed artist as well. And I've got a couple of trims up here, and a picture of a Seymour Duncan pickup. Why do you endorse these products?
I've been using Duncan since I was a kid. I left the ranch, for a minute in the '90s because the band I joined insisted on sounding like Metallica, so had to go active for a little bit. But yeah, I came back because they just sound great. I mean, and they'll MJ can wind anything for you basically. they're just really high quality, great sounding pickups, and I've had great luck with them.
Nope.
And the Floyds you're showing there, those are all completely rebuilt with FU tone parts. Basically the base plates and the bars are original, because I use on my personal guitars, I use the old school bars that don't have the thumb wheel, the thread on.
Right.
It's like you need the wrench if you want to take it on and off, but I prefer the way they feel, and I prefer the response of them. So, but anybody else's would have the normal type one on there.
Right, and I have to agree with you. I mean, what a great guitar whenever you take these parts and you add futon to them.
The blocks make such a huge difference. I basically refuse to build a guitar without one of those blocks in it, because it's just night and day difference as far as just the resonance of the guitar and just the corpulence when you plug in. You're just like, oh, now we're talking somewhere. Once you if you ever do a before and after with a guitar that you've gotten someplace else and upgrade to Floyd, it's just, oh, this is what this guitar is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and yeah, a lot of people wonder how come I'm just not playing, just not sounding the way I envision it in my mind's ear. And what a lot of people need to realize is that you can achieve massive tone by getting a guitar in the first place that's already got these tone enhancements to it, such as a J-Hale guitar. I mean, if you're going to buy a guitar and you want one that's got monster tone, I'm telling you, a J-Hale guitar is going to be different than a guitar that you go buy off the rack. It's just not going to sound. You can go get a standard guitar with a Floyd type trim on it, but the block's different, the parts are different, the quality of these parts are different. So you wouldn't know that how big that transfers into tone. But man, I swear I know you do too. That the block and the futon stuff is where it's at.
Another thing that I pretty much made standard now, I don't know if you've tried the pickup mounting system.
I haven't yet. I haven't had the opportunity to work with futon on anything yet, but I am. I'm in negotiations with them.
Adam's great. He's a great guy to deal with. He's become one of my best friends over the years. We've been working together for like probably 6 or 7 years now. But yeah, it's a similar difference as the blocks when you direct mount the pickup with that, because it's made out of the same kind of brass. Number one. So you've just got this bed under the pickup that's just, it's picking up not just the strings, but it's also picking up the resonance of the body and transferring it to the pickup, and it's just huge. There's a difference in the sustain that you get, or that you appreciate with it, or whatever, and just the overall fatness of the guitar. These upgrades make it sound like taking a blanket off your speakers. Basically, it's that drastic.
It is that drastic. So, if you're watching this video and you're kind of thinking, well, I kind of want a custom guitar made in America, here Jay has these products. And as you know from earlier in the interview, he's just got started recently, but he's been playing guitar for a long time, been messing around with guitars mechanically for a long time, and it just was a natural thing, he said, getting into building. So now that we've covered the guitars and the hardware and everything, I want to talk a little bit about yourself here. You're a great player. I've heard some of your music. You've got awesome tone. You've got a great ear, just a really good knack for timing. So, let's talk a little bit about your gear. What is your main guitar that you're using?
My main one right now is, well, for the past couple of weeks, has been a Newman's, just because it's been a lot of fun. But I set it up to be exactly like like the Koa guitar and the Bomber, as far as its feel and its setup. But those are probably my main go-tos. I'm really liking the None More Black prototype right now too. I've been using that for some rehearsals with my band Scar Radio. But my amp I've had since, funny story, when I moved to LA in 1990, I had I'm sure you've seen the ad with Steve Vai and the carbon stacks
Oh
back in
yeah.
the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, I had that kind of set up. I had, two carbon cabinets and an X100B head. Well, the X100B head got destroyed by the shipping company on the way out here. So here I am, moved to LA to join a band, and suddenly I don't have an amp. So I took what little cash that I had to live on to come out there, and I bought what turned out to be a 1986 Red Stripe Mesa Boogie Mark III, and it was the best investment I've ever made in my life. The thing has never let me down. I had to have it serviced recently for the first time in 20 years, but they're just amazing amps. I mean, I've sworn by Boogie for ever since then.
Yeah, and I can see the picture of the amp. It's still in great shape. Obviously, you have a lot of respect for your gear. I see the Anvil hard case. And what is that setting on top of your amp?
I believe you're probably looking at a picture of is it a little black box?
Yeah.
That's a Mesa Boogie Cab Clone, which is a speaker emulator for recording.
Nice.
They're pretty. They get a lot of crap online, but if you play with the tone you get out of it, they're really really useful, and about $600 less than the Two Notes emulator.
Yeah, I hear that from different artists from time to time. I hear when they're talking about their gear, they'll say, "Well, it's not the most popular or widely used or anything, but my particular one sounds great. It sounds a little different than the others, or whatever." And I don't know what the reason for that would be, but it's just the case, just how it is with these amplifiers. It seems like a lot of the times, and
Well,
you got a good one. It sounds like.
yeah, with the Mesa Boogies, particularly with the Mark IIIs, there's different generations of it where the preamp kind of evolved over the years based on player response. Because I mean, Boogie really listens to their users. They want to know what they can make better about the product. I mean, like anybody that really cares about what they're putting out there wants to do. But over the years, they're designated by the color stripe above the AC cord, and that denotes what year it was made, what era it was. And there's green and purple and red stripe, I believe, and purple and red are the two most coveted versions because they're the later versions. They have incorporated all the player tweaks in it. So yeah, I got lucky.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Better lucky than any day. So now we're looking at your pedal board here. What a nice tight little unit. I like pedal boards like this myself. When I see a pedal board like this, I like it, and I really like that you've got that EVH flanger on there.
That's the phase 90.
Or is it the phase? Oh, phase 90. I'm sorry, I can't read. I need glasses for sure.
Yeah,
But I recognize the red, white, and black stripes, though. I thought that was
that I use that in the script mode and I have it turned down pretty slow, like an EVH setting. I primarily kick it on for the occasional like little chewiness to a lead line or something. They're great for that. I also love the Duncan 805 overdrive. It's the first. You generally don't need an overdrive box with the Mesa Boogie, but because that's the Mark III, it's also got the quasi Marshall channel. I think they referred to it as the Brown channel back in the day.
Oh.
But yeah, it much like a Marshall, you kind of have to crank it up to get it to start really happening. Unlike the rest of the amp, but I find with the 805 in front of it, it kind of beefs it up a little bit. So now I have 4 or 5 usable amp tones with the 3 channels. So that comes in pretty handy. And I got a few things programmed on the DL4 and the MM4. And Duncan sent me a Vapor Trail too, which is also a really cool delay.
Nice. What else you got here? Looks like you've got a Vox wah.
Yeah, that's just the regular Vox wah. One of these days I want to get a Clyde McCoy or something because I hear the inductor's different, as a slightly different tone. But I like that one. It's Hendrixy enough. Or if you want to do, if we want to play like Alice in Chains or something, like you can kind of pull off Rain When I Die with that wah pretty well.
Oh, nice. Love Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
So what's this pedal right above the Vox? Is that a Boss pedal
Yeah,
or
that's
is
a
it?
Boss TU2. I probably should upgrade to the TU3 because the one outdoor gig I've done with that, yeah, you couldn't see it. I had to like put a I had to put a piece of cardboard over it so I could see it in the daylight. And that's apparently the issue they fixed with the TU3 was the LED display.
Excellent,
But
good.
other than that, they're bulletproof. You know.
Oh yeah, your all your gear looks bulletproof. I mean, it all looks really tough, and I see you've got your pedal power right there on board.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna upgrade my board, and it'll be a little raised so I can go underneath with the pedal power and free up some more floor space. But yeah, it works for right now, just the way it is. That that pedal board and that road case have been across the country and back and made it. So definitely get a road case for your amp if you're traveling. Would be my advice.
Right on. And so I don't have any pictures of your cabs, but what's up with your cabs and speakers?
My cabs are actually still the original X100B series carbons that I had since I wow, I think I was 17 when I got my first one. I moved out. I shipped my amp and my cabinets out here when I moved here. So I have the original two that I got when I lived in West Virginia, and recently well, not too recently, a couple of years ago now. It seems like you can find the slant top versions of those cabinets all the time, but the bottoms are strangely rare. So if you see one, it's like a dodo bird or something. And a couple of years ago, I found two of them. So now I have, for when Scar Radio gets a little more busy and we actually do some staging and stuff, I have two sets of 412s now.
Nice.
Of those old school ones. And they kind of reminded me, when I was a kid, the reason I liked them was because they looked like the old school Mesa Mark series cabinets. But of course, when I was a kid, I couldn't afford those, so I went with the carbons instead.
Nice.
But they have Celestians in them, so they sound great. They're really rugged, and they've worked really well all these years. So
Excellent. Well, folks, we have Jay Hale from JHaleGuitars as our special guest today on USAmericanMadeGuitars.com. And he's been influenced by people like Eddie Van Halen. Here's a little picture of him with Eddie Van Halen. What's the story behind that?
that was from NAMM a couple of years ago. And again, Adam from FU Tone is also Eddie's partner in EVHD Tuner, so I was there doing some, helping Adam out at NAMM, and he said, "So you want to meet Eddie?" And I'd met him when I worked music retail a few years ago. It was well, actually many years ago now, but he was always really nice. So I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So just went up to the Fender display. They were doing like a kind of a private thing, and just walked up and asked if I could take a picture, and he's like, "Sure. How you been?"
Amazing.
He's a really nice guy.
Very nice guy. So I thought I would show off your picture with Eddie Van Halen since everybody dreams of having a picture with Eddie Van Halen. I mean, if you anybody that's really into rock guitar.
Funny story about that one. That picture, like, it wasn't a half hour old, at that NAMM or whatever, before someone had photoshopped me out of it and put Michael Anthony in my place.
I think I might have seen that.
And it was a really, really bad Photoshop too, because like Michael Anthony was still wearing half of my jacket, like my entire left side was still me. So it's just like, why does Mike have half a jacket on? What happened? It was. I mean, but everybody's like, somebody was trying to say that the picture with me and it was the fake. I'm like, no, guys, no, actually, no, I have the original picture. Thanks.
You've got the proof in the pudding.
Minutes old and somebody photoshopped it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, if it's Eddie Van Halen, it's on the internet, that's going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I mean, but they'd sized Michael Anthony incorrectly too. I mean, he was like giant man next to Eddie. It was just like, oh, wow, okay. Speaking
of attention, I really hope that if you're watching this video, that you'll give Jay some attention. Check him out on his Twitter and his Facebook. What are those again for a second time?
It's just the letter J, HALE 667. I'm also on Instagram under the same handle.
There you go. He's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. He's a blogger. He's very prolific and communication. So he's a great builder. Awesome hot rod guitars that are totally tricked out. I mean, I've got guitars that I had to take and trick out later. I tell you what, it's a big hassle. Really, the best thing to do is to start off right with the right guitar. And Hale, he's got some of the best there is. So definitely give him a shout, people, and check his guitars out. Jay, thank you for being on the U.S. American Made Guitar Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, and till next time, keep rocking.